All right, so here we're going to rewrite each pair of functions as one composite function, and then we're going to evaluate the composite function at 2. So what we have to look at is what do we have? So here we have f of t is equal to 3e to the t, and here we have t of p is equal to 4p squared. All right, well, looks like we're taking and we have to plug into f t, so we're given that t is this, and so we're going to plug this basically into this piece. So we're going to have f of t of p is equal to 3e to the 4p squared. Okay. Now we're saying we're going to evaluate that at 2. So we want f of t of 2. Well, that's going to be 3e to the 4 times 2 squared. And so that's going to be 3 times e to the 2 squared is 4 times 4 is 16. 3e to the 16. And we'll plug that into our calculator. And we're going to get 3e to the 16. And we get 2665833.1.56. And so let's go back over here and write that down. And so we get 2665833.1.56. Okay, and a little crooked, but that's our final value. So that's the evaluation, and this is going to be our well, this will be actually the whole composite function, and then depending on what our p is, we'll get different things. Okay. All right, so that's all they're looking for us to do here. Now let's do that on the second one here. G of x equals square root of 7x squared, and x of w equals this. All right, so what are we going to do? Well, it looks like we're plugging x in here, so we're going to plug this into here. So g of x of w equals the square root of 7 times 4e to the w squared. Okay. Now here we could do two things. We could just evaluate this as g of x of 2 and plug everything in. We get square root of 7 times 4e, and then that's 2, and then squared, and then we just plug all that into our calculator. Or we might even come back here and say, well, what do we really have here? Well, we have the square root of 7 times the square root of 4e to the w squared. So the square root of something squared, that drops, and we really just get 4e to the w times the square root of 7. And so then we could have this, or the same thing, 4e squared square root of 7, depending on if we do this version or this version. And both of them should give us the same thing. You know, this one, of course, is going to be easier to type into our calculator than this one, but they will both give us the same value. So if we do it both ways, we'll have 7 4e squared. So let's go over to our calculator. And so we're going to have, if we write that out, the first way would be the square root of 7, and then we're going to have 4e, and then that was squared, and oops, down, and then parenthesis, and then squared, and that will give us the first way, which gives us the 78.198. Or we can do it the second way, which was taking 4e squared, remember, go down, then square root of 7, and we get that. So either we do it this way or we do it this way, but both ways we get 78.198. So that gives us 78.198. So again, it doesn't matter if we go and we say that is our function, or if we say that is our function. Both of them, as we can see here, give us the same value. All right. Here we're supposed to determine whether the graph in each of the figures below represents a one-to-one function. If not, explain why. Well, remember, when we're finding out if a function is a function first, that's our first goal. So we have to do vertical line test. Well, here, if we do a vertical line test, that says that's not a function. So if it's not a function, it can't be one-to-one. So this one is just a no from start. It's not one-to-one. Now this one, if we go and we draw all these vertical lines, no matter where we get it, that is a function. So we're good there. And to determine if it's one-to-one, we do the horizontal line test. So now we start drawing lines like this. And so this looks like it's a function and it's one-to-one. So that looks good. Now what about this one? Well, is it a function first? Well, if we draw all these vertical lines, no matter where we draw them, it is a function. So that's good. Now we can test to see if it's one-to-one. So we start drawing lines, horizontally, and guess what? All of a sudden we hit 3 spots. So it's not one-to-one. So it's a function, but it's not one-to-one. Okay. So that's the key thing. First, find if it's a function. If it is, then you can test to see if it's one-to-one by doing the horizontal test. Okay. So those are the easy ones, quick and dirty. We don't actually have to do anything with those. All right, so let's stop there and we'll come back.